Hello, young legion. Back again. Out of the timeless way. This is what we should do. This is what we have to do to make evolution's fruits and gifts and means to heal. The species value nature system and identity of negative value nature progression some ancient times. Maintain negative value nature progression acts in nature is blamed to other things other than themselves, not by accident. Effectively, since some ancient times. So modern nations began without founders with free speech. Modern nations began with an organized crime method that already effectively invested, not only divided Native Americans from each other, invested them to fact treatment nature styles, blaming the causes of it on other things other than on selves. And valuing defenses of that fact treatment nature formal. So all quality of fact treatment nature about the finite, active, and progressive was as effectively maintained, breaching organized crime method, exploiting human fact treatment nature, worse than incapable of affording counters to what is unfathomable. But that's all that can be fathomed by all that's left standing, because we only have pseudosciences, and because they can get over on the rest of our states and areas of it as modern nations through these value systems already having self-value propagated. You can't self-value that and tell American history. Not by accident, overtly, and simultaneously, insidiously, all are manifest roles because of lie progressions. Originally instilled, you need to offensively pretend to perceive things and to offensively fake things recorded into databases, pretend they were actually recorded. That's what we have originally instilled into brain. Force sustain, the more you talk, true, they recorded how they're using the statutes. We're leaving out exceptions. Racketeering with former director of FBI Robert Luskin involved racketeering a whole bunch of the sources of CNN, which I can't tell if they hear, but I don't have any more time. And this changes the value of what you have to say because it's changing the whole bunch of natures of child abuses. As the people already invested a long time, a whole bunch of natures of elderly abuses, uses of each age with a involved hurt by there and here modern nations by a vertical and horizontal database organized crime method, effectively having maintained influences over pilots in investigations of pilots and processes, things like state police, extended family members of the peoples involved with that, intercampuses of each age of factory manager, because in the background they're pretending to have heard things, to perceive things tied to how they already did that vertically and horizontally. Tied to that, if that's ever addressed, it's going to show that how they use crime methods. In positive, there's a weird phenomenon of Debbie Gold. I never had one conversation with. 2 times she pretended other. The first time before that, I explained it on Facebook. I played Dreidel, it was positive. Second time she came up to me of her own volition with people around, I don't know who they are. And she was yelling at me. So then she implied left record unfolding of events were made the fake thing in database. I don't know what they wrote. And that was of her own volition. No one told me, it made me expect it. Second time, no one also made me expect it. But people had given me knowledge of someone else's name I don't even know. I checked Casper. I know who he is now. I still never had a verbal conversation with him. And this is tied also to a pattern of confessions, a whole people involved with a whole bunch of different natures of religious spots, military families and coaches and stuff like that involved with racketeering with evidences. with other natures, a whole bunch of people tied to when you get a former detective Dylan and his partner with family members associated with houses in my area through time, involved with racketeering with houses next to campus schools I went to also, with people on it, each age of fact cheaping nature. Those are also people who facilitate other racketeering roles, uses of campus I wasn't even on for racketeering of different ways. They attach truth to lies, they pretend overt lies are truths and facts. Offensive, CNN. They're offensively like some say they call something a coalition, where that's a physical value that's just following orders in relationship to fact cheaping nature, originally instilled areas and states. Not one person has liberated free speech and or nor. Um, so definition of what was entrenched here, using identity of the relationship to the ground, all identity suits and ties, uses of everything undercover to maintain free speech, tortured. Religion only if it's going to be as a criminally through criminal foreign influence, out of sequence, not valuing the first part of the Old Testament. Shut your mouth up, or they'll hurt you every time you speak, because they have that used for pseudo positive defenses of themselves already. Sicker than most overt criminal enterprises who are shooting people, but they're using a different weapon. Now, see, before that, they were all victim predators of the same this vertical database, this vertical and horizontal already propagated and effectively breaching organized crime method using human fact cheaping nature, maintain self-cultivated victims, but victim predators, they handed them knowing how to deal with the law since 72 times. So they handed them a coalition. They say, here's shock and awe. See, ISIS, the Quran is warning about Muslims who don't know about, who think they're Muslims always, or are being persuaded to endure. The Quran is about first part of all is organized crime, about how nations are grouped originally and still. You can't keep that glorified. It's only the thing that makes it so great is because we're naturally bonded. But see, now that natural bond is through a filter. That all we have to do is admit pantheism as a new value nature system, supplementary, at least. And then just more apparent means apparent. These are not means. And you can't say that that's science, because those sciences will not take extended protraction of correlation nature's identity of value and with sequence true, with inherent nature of volume, active nature of volume, progressive nature of volume, bonded, only the extent of it is debatable. See, but word phrases like scientific consensus are being used for our organized crime racketeering originally and still, with offensive evidence reception and perception, fake recorded things into databases. Criminal use is extended from that already. So, in other words, progressed roles with all kinds of natures of racketeering and motivations of roles that originally were per the organized crime method that divided the Native Americans. I'm not a lawyer, not a police force, not a criminal. I believe religiously that one identity of value progression is native pure, and as everything that is true, and as exceptions and demonstration of it. And see, we have this course as the for perfect value progression per science, not let free speech, because they're obfuscating that and how our ability for correlation in relationship to the predicate acts, the real causes of them. See, they made the Native Americans blame the real causes of predicate acts to perceive them, blame down other things, others themselves. And even where and how that was right too, it was juxtaposed through theater as a method of criminal seditious nature that's using fact cheaping nature itself. Before they had slavery entrenched here, See, those records are all criminally foreign influenced, but the lie progression styles, even if they were legalized, they were criminally legalized. They were racketeering, therefore, with logic, which is recorded, actually. The value of the substance of the convictions regarding summary convictions of history, regarding their sequence racketeering roles, physical delusions and criminally foreign influenced value treatments of our founders, let alone of databases. Of databases, let alone of our founders, of the identity ground relationships to the little tricks, extended worse. Because it's very, very simple, the law, and all that it can protract. See, but not when you keep that sustained on grammar schools, racketeering, using, having used, and using still other uses of undercover with the same criminal enterprises because they're needed to hide the same finite, active, progressive sequence shifts and identity racketeering natures of it roles against everyone originally and still. So instead of allowing basic free speech that could have finished it in one day, what to do? All that, in other words, all that was making it to no one could afford what is unfathomable to overcome it. How to describe the nature of education that's going to heal everyone, not just economically. That we'll see what economically led is recorded self-valuing, having self-value, originally still tactically denatured relationship to nature, identity to the ground relationship to in layers, invested, everyone having victims of it, not realizing, having blamed the real cause of negative value nature progression acts other, and then defended that. With that, a dark evil stay with shared policing and prisons and psychology, and all private tied to the branches of government, maintained individually grouped and together, criminally foreign influence and delusions wrought since some ancient times. This just reminds. I use the word grip with consciousness, nature, and I waited. They took my Facebook page. It's because you don't understand the nature of value treatments racketeering, how they need people to perceive black and white leaders, every persuasion of leader. We have nations, groups, suits, and ties, uses styles of liars against culture's actual course, which is trinities, which is our nature's, why we are individual, every individual simultaneously as a group volume, as a sex, as an age, area, as a bonded volume, as a species. And that trinity and our relationship to that is a relationship to a greater identity that is only filling this nature of volume. Identity, nature, as a nature of volume that only gets bigger. So these are people through time also overtly needing to pretend things because of the natures of racketeering associated with the FBI director, with other nations and their directors, their equivalents, all recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with family members especially through psychology, but then through all parts of every inter-database relationship, especially because their roles with lie progressions and already having been hiding that with offensive evidence reception racketeering roles with the branches again grouped together and individually. And then and how individually, that's with every individual of each court, every group, sex, age, method of experience, nature of experience, role, private with that. Not just private, like directly with that, like prison stuff, all the people associated. This is a nature of criminal insidious nature of volume as fact treatment nature, maintains self-value by a breaching organized crime method originally and still using human fact treatment nature. using styles of liars, invested, propagated, blaming the real causes that only needing to of their fact treatment nature in relationship to how it causes fake science nature to demonstrate negative value nature progressions acts natures. See, we're in value nature systems that made the fact treatment nature phenomena of ulterior not only self-valued but weaponized. Originally and still, we don't have free speech. We don't have freedom of religion. We don't have freedom to be not tortured. We don't have freedom to not have our identity thefts through time, vertically and horizontally, with the stewards of each age of fact treatment nature involved with each age of fact treatment nature effectively maintained, abused, and self-valuing roles, blaming other things, others themselves, because this is a sustained. Already did that with each age of identities of each age of correlation nature's actual capabilities by free speech and by treatments of positive, proper, and actual. See, they're starting fights too peripherally. Once you're a court and once you're a police department that has already acted with a whole bunch of names, a whole bunch of ways affected, motivated to it, natured as that, as criminal and seditious nature. I'm not a lawyer. Their lawyers are also recorded involved with the nature of racket method of racketeering, that correlation itself. Why we're going to demonstrate pro se. We might have to have pro bono help, whatever. We're going to need more than that because there are too many natures of courts and too many organized crime methods as the evidences themselves. Their uses of Facebook for that. The Britain Superior Court has a whole bunch of people with names forging, switching for fact treatment nature racketeering because they're a pattern of sequence shifts from inside outside of courts, uses of that with databases with child campuses, all kinds of natures of proven and further offenders with the kids, as the people pretending to be against that still. With that then and now still further with the schools, how it's inter campuses because it's been using the identity of the ground. I'll gather around. So that whole little kids campus, for example, at the end of New Park Avenue, they have this. They have a. I don't know if it's still there. Planned Parenthood, and see they have cliques there involved with interstates, worse than interstates. Originally and still, uses. The reason every identity of science is an identity of value. There are reasons why the reciprocal brings you upon definitions with math regarding identity's value, correlation's value, which is its identity. And correlation nature is a trinity. Once you will vertically and horizontally maintain roles with all effectively to defend the sensibilities in relationship to illusions woven through, exploited needs for each nature, attribute nature to have positive and negative. See, we have the people that are pretending to be against everything. Everything's everyone against for health reasons. We have so many natures of criminal foreign influences of all the departments of health throughout the racketeering originally instilled with psychology. You can't defend what logic is about. It's protracted means for answers. And pretend to be about and pretend not to understand the credibility of criminal ceaseless nature. In other words, we have recorded criminally foreign influenced, legalized since before our founders' births. So way before, since George Washington had to leave overt slavery with the French general in Hartford and Wethersfield right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. That was already entrenched with an organized crime method against every single goddamn thing in person. A value treatment racketeering. I'm not a lawyer, I'm pleased for the criminal. They failed to tell our American history. They cultivated and keep only allowed each age of fact treatment nature, perceiving the same physical delusions, criminally foreign influence, fact treatment nature, convictions, personal and other, opinions that are not honest, formally, pretending it's politics, because that's that branch's positions and families' relationships, roles with the life progressions that kept and keep already kept propagated, defending fact treatment, value treatment, sequence treatment. You can't value that and us at the same time. This exploits how hundreds of nations group against any nation that tries to really deal with positives, identities, defense. Because everyone's valued nature treatment systems, while people were worse than forsaken, never liberated, other pretended, opinions, roles. Therefore, while calm, you can't defend that and protract your and you can't defend that and then do anything from behind and plot against anyone's going to demonstrate recorded originally still all treatments of math and of value treatments left legalized, criminally legalized in conjunction with this, because now you're defending positions into market positions that are not the real value nature positions tied to our fact treatment nature. That's known. Wouldn't see what's exploited is how we have trick fact treatment nature formally interbranch. Their racketeering and weapons are what roles are first with the judicial branch needing to be countered. That means we have to counter what's hurting them, but that's also juxtaposed with what they are, because it's only because the same thing hurting them is that and how the overt criminal enterprise are recorded kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite, active, and progressive, and overall fact treatment nature racketeering, positions, motivations, roles, natures, needs, and interests, blaming the real causes of it on other things other than themselves. And that's maintained effectively, easily, because all I have to do is maintain self-valued uses, what they do when a whole bunch of police forms were a whole bunch of racketeering with kids growing up, actual racketeering, like bad things with vertical and horizontal database crimes, and then making people categorically pretend things in relationship to that, and with sequence shifts, and pretending that tied to other locations where they know the people, where they don't know them at all, filming themselves actually what they can't defend on paper, so they use time all the way too fast, too slow. But it's not a game, because then you're going to a jail, and those jails are recorded and confessed and demonstrated how maintained already involved with racketeering with the people that run them, with vertical and with horizontal database racketeering that also involves other nations maintaining this outcome, maintaining this with and as the value of the only let realized stewards through the Obama administration of his help, as his help. Same thing, they're going to do that with every president. Fake morality tied to this, what they need to get away with it. That's why they have the president, they have the police chiefs involved with these campuses connected intercities, and it's tied to the people next to the park in Hartford, where it's Wethersfield, Hartford. No, how also the state prison offices, Wethersfield, Hartford. This is racketeering with the Wethersfield Police Department. All victim predators, high predators. But see, we have to counter the high predators courts first, because they're the grouped crime methods, but also, of course, are individually grouped together. all tied to them. They make so many name stacking of people involved with them, faking recorded things into databases individually. Whole bunch of people that work together through time, a whole bunch of identity theft natures of crime, fake conversations with me. They're racketeering with doctors, attaching little kids to fake locations, fake ties to sick people with judges through time. It's not just, it's recorded their motivations. This is exactly demonstrates what sick method mixed color in with it to keep this blamed on other things other than themselves effectively. Me too. They're keeping roles pretending to be against what they're for. These are offensive evidence reception and perception predators needing to pretend other because they're already involved with racketeering with that all kind of ways because is recorded how the different natures of departments are maintained from off campuses and layers already. On and off campuses perfected, manifest like the spots on a leopard. Identities of relationship to databases individually grouped and together, criminally foreign influence, delusions raw, sequence shifts, way worse. And then it's also, you don't even know who's putting it in there. And then they forging names and switching names. So you know who's putting it in there, grouped. And you know, with confessions and such, were actually recorded individually too. See, but we're not being allowed to demonstrate this. Each of the branches of government pretending they're about politics. Oh, it's politics. What's entertaining things like um things with the zone regarding zoning laws, regarding treatments of say whatever regarding the position the what they pretend to deny this with. That's why you have to demonstrate how it's juxtaposed that the people pretending to be against color as white hate groups, how they are in collusion with a whole bunch of nations with psychology and with racketeering with jobs and positions with undercover together and with overt criminal enterprises, other methods of and motivations of racketeering, which are completely fact cheap in nature, a whole bunch of mass wrongdoers and predicate acts roles with that, like mass wire crimes, mass mail crimes, mass election crimes, whole associated with only let we hear voices. Facebook's involved recorded racketeering with a whole bunch of nations, including Russians. And these are crimes against Russians against Russians. A whole bunch of people with psychology tied to Hartford Hospital racketeering with former director of the FBI down. A Leahy family attached me to fake conversations about agencies, recorded and confessed with a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, other natures of courts, on off CCSU leading up to the 2006 case, crimes of former director of the FBI, and a whole bunch of people from my town, for on off CCSU with crimes with each of the campuses I went to, including a campus down the street with the same house slash S involved with it. And see, that's with sequence shifts too, because this is where they're preventing mandated law, and we have to counter where the courts are attaching everyone to fake things and using databases for through time crime methods in conjunction with that through the family members associated with criminally foreign influence uses of the liberties of the branches. And so the sensibilities of each age of fact treatment nature, exploited by another method of organized crime that also this way kept effectively propagated and maintained self-value, self-cultivated roles, self-valuing each age of correlation nature criminally foreign influence and delusions wrought and breaching screen roles with pseudo patriotism natures. And that's what spoke for Hartford, Connecticut. And remarkably, President Trump has been trying to demonstrate this fake positive, fake news. See, but this is how nations are grouped. Force, if you pretend that okay, well, I mean, you admit something with the identity of the road. These are intercampuses of each age, shared, policed, because we have threats against everyone, tortured, sick. Other meth, you can't talk about them because no one understands how to word it without lying. They're evaluating how they lie to themselves and others. All formal fact cheating nature. That's that. Who wants to debate that? Can't do it. Honestly, can't do it without written tricks. Valuing criminally foreign influence sciences. This is identity course. Algebraic consciousness. So they have fake sides. The Quran, as per the same non-distinct method, distinctly and non-distinctly, the Quran is defending um, the positions of quality of fact cheating nature from what ISIS is preventing it from being discerning, like which is sequenced true with the first part of the Quran. Because all these nations simultaneously are grouped to counter what all were built blaming on other things other than selves, because everyone came through since before the founders of modern religions, thank God for them, through an as fact cheating nature styles of liars, criminally foreign influence, criminal incestuous nature. You can't defend that and tell them about what the science part of religions, what they're about up front. So they need people to use time always too fast, too slow, charged. Oh, it's Adam and Eve. What? What's that have to do with science? What then do they say, and the fake sides? Or what's that, all natures of a convictions, that's slow, so that's how you're supposed to do. You let the courts decide. They're not following mandated law. The courts are recorded offensive evidence reception and offensive evidence perception racketeering predators with as victims, but as victim predators. The same way the overt criminal enterprises are not being allowed to demonstrate that, but blaming other things other than themselves, needing it blamed on that, because then you have to defend their fact treatments. When actually it was is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Fox Connecticut News is involved with all kinds of racketeering on and off campuses, like and with people with database relationships next to them. All communicate, try to validate information. Originally and still offensive evidence reception racketeering roles with uses of color. These are the answers of American history. Is not about these. Is picking out names of countless people and using and allowing uses of that to obfuscate the organized crime method, the sustained roles with what is recorded simultaneously motivated fake care and psycho ill justice, because I was tied to misprision, criminality, line progressions from all formal fact treatments, divided Native Americans from Native Americans. And I already perfected this through Europe on the Native Americans where records were lost. Everyone was taking the retreats. divided, conquered is not conquered, generated roles to maintain, blamed on real other things, others themselves. Quality of fact, treatment nature, maintain self-value, relationship to nature itself, continue to demonstrate negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Line progressions right from every standing database relationship click. All thinking they know things because they heard things. This knows you're okay. You're mowing your lawn. They're going to time this person to come up, right? Well, these are people involved racketeering with child offenders. They're already caught now. They caught themselves recorded vertical and horizontal, a whole bunch of nations. So they want to pretend they have value at the fact treatment at the trade center. Fact treatment roles. They're roles with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, in the 2006 case before the Trade Center attack. The same ones on off CCSU, crimes with my grammar school when I was at the same grammar school. Whole bunch of natures with the kids. Subtle. It's only had those three interactions with Debbie Gold. They pretend they used each one to pretend other with identity theft racketeering. Her father was a mayor. There's a Lee Gold involved with it. These are people involved with prosecutorial families, roles with Washington D.C. Pentagon, like a ropes program. This is just this is a They have all these programs tied to the courts involved with the racketeering with them that is not legitimate. Never was. They're involved with vertical and horizontal sick uses of everything formal for evil as criminal and seditious nature at the same time. These are natures of gun crimes, methods, motivations, roles tied to their forging names, switching names, uses of predicate acts, which are 10-year in prison, crimes, they use them like nothing. Same people putting people in jail. They do that against people, and they're valuing that sustained through time. I just remind. Fox Connecticut News with these people that use the name Joey Quest, recorded racketeering, but I don't have anything to do with them. They're involved with a Delafair family, a whole bunch of brothers and sisters involved racketeering on off Trinity College with a whole bunch of other people. People associated with Paul Zano, a whole bunch of people with on off CCSU with the same racketeering roles. Whole bunch of police forms, foreign and domestic, real sick people like a Detective Samuda, pretended arrested officer of me. Crimes with child sex offenders and with the leaders of the kids, with doctors, with foreign and domestic, racketeering on and off their medical campuses, fire campuses roles, and inter-shared policing with campuses roles. Exploitations of threats, foreign and domestic, shared police. They want to come into value nature systems rightfully. And these value nature systems aren't prepared for not one modern nation is not criminally foreign influenced, is not delusions raw, and is not having that had that self value. And that's a fucking problem because we have the nuclear problems, we have the all the elements of this for that nature of fact treatment nature, captivation of each position of fact treatment nature, sophistication, maintain criminally forward influence, tool, fake sides, valuing, needing, only having been precedents because of it, and if because it is staying its roles with it. What really brought us into the World War One, two, three, prevent all that. Psychology was racketeering right through that whole thing. All kinds of natures of sick things. Torture, then kill on a mass scale here in America. Psychology. They got that glorified. Punk freaks with logic. with logic scores, with words like ratiocination. Ratiocination and pseudo-ratiocination. This is our reception of identity nature's relationship to positive and negative as one nature of volume, gaining through this as what will only stay positive unto itself, which itself is we're in how we are each complete identity simultaneously in unceasing semi-nature relationship to the complete nature of the volumes, complete nature of relationship to itself, and the value of that increasing from what was already complete. Called through each street. So, in other words, this is where we could do modernization. These are the means of to fathom. I forgot to make up this too long. I want you to know that everyone, see, because that changes everything. Because everyone thinks they can only see and fathom what's been told. Everyone's nuts. So we use pantheism as a science, so we don't have to fight about anything except for what's great to fight about because it reveals what was in the way of what is true always and not denying exceptions. And that reveals unfathomed means because that really reveals a connection to the rest of the identity of all things at once has unto itself that is also positive, lastingly, while we are temporary positive, generating more and more temporary positive or negative. No, all criminal insidiousness is a nature of positive treatment as logic nature that is demonstrably has to be as a style of liar simultaneously distinct from especially criminal insidiousness nature legalized and it's exploited. In other words, then they have to pretend more and more. They have to have lie progressions before they are realized like that. They're already affected having those lie progressions facilitated to already standing vertical and horizontal criminally foreign influence database relationships effectively used to maintain the military criminally foreign influence. Same time needed self-value by the same thing. Same thing here, there. Russia and America has the same pathology of homes forced since before cars with the fact treatment nature slavery torture of our founders semi-unsafe planning demonstrably planning on building those cities, building those houses in Hartford to be converted, perfectly designed houses to be converted later to 2-family, 3-family houses, not to accommodate a population increase and keeping populations mixed with movements and things like that, foreign and domestic, here, there, criminally foreign influenced, self-valued by the only realized representatives, criminally foreign influenced, roles with archetypal evil, vertical and horizontal database racketeering, uses of it per method that has each age of factory nature exploited off campuses, but it's on campuses in conjunction with this, already having been off campuses, sustained off campuses again, then on off campuses again in layers, all roles to styles, methods, natures of perfect will forsaken not by accident, free speech. So these are constitution racketeering roles that the stewards of campuses from off them of and as each nation have been using them vertically and horizontally to maintain effectively to use as breaching screens, tools, and weapons to maintain how they did through time, racketeering with evidences, with perception, and with evidence reception racketeering. Roles with UPS, racketeering with various natures of campuses, various natures of pilots and of policing of such, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, leading up into and in a 2006 case in Connecticut District Court with other natures of courts that already in their police forms already had been pretending to perceive things, pretending to record things into databases. Other motivations, nature's racketeering needs and roles and uses of drug crimes, like with the former director of the FBI down, with uses of MPO Floyd, um, 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 military police forms associated with Kovinskis, and with CCSU, a whole bunch of family members attached onto narratives, fake police reports, a whole bunch of intercities through time, falsified police reports, vertical and horizontal uses of that, tied to the vertical and horizontal racketeering with the child campuses, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated further how interbranch family members, judges, even women judges, were in our crimes of sick natures with sick people, and even doctors recorded racketeering with kids, attaching everyone to fake words, faking recorded things in databases, covering up their wire crimes, mail crimes, crimes with juries, communications with New Britain Superior Court, states attorneys involved with all kinds of racketeering with cases already. They're still witch trial people. There's still uses on off their state judicial branch offices. There's still racketeering roles, uses, confessions recorded, racketeering with DACA through the same people that were racketeering with other nations in middle school when confessed as strangers, barely know them, 2 year school, never had a class with them. Like Joe DeMauro, Michael Kerr, never had a class with them. Right next to that school, there's a little Catholic school, same age group, same time, racketeering roles into that difference. Other roles with houses further in that area, further people involved with the library next to it, further role where the Wethersfield police used to be there, further roles with the people involved with the child sex offender family with the especially made up with Mrs. Smith, involved with some kid involved with a Dr. Zeman, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved racketeering with judges associated with a Leahy family, and his confessions. I don't know. I asked for a lawyer. I didn't. I told the guy he's wrong. He's got physical delusions, criminal for him. A whole bunch of people confessed and recorded racketeering roles with him. There are also roles with a whole bunch of people with fire departments, with various natures of drug racketeering, with crime roles, also criminal uses of cases, inside and outside of courts, criminal uses of depositions, even criminal uses of lawyers recorded through time for a correlation racketeering method. Correlation nature is a trinity. We have actually recorded people pretending things to be recorded because they're keeping everyone self-valued, obfuscated, criminal uses of the right to lie. Original still, interbranch racketeering, each individual of each branch, and then those branches grouped criminally used. A whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated former Mayor Gold and new mayors, former retired and standing, involved with this. A whole bunch of racketeering with people with overt criminal enterprises, and with WFSB as the ones also with racketeering with a whole bunch of people with Fox Connecticut News, with police, and they don't want to help. They stole me the fake conversations, WFSB. And they sustain this, they prevent you to calm means to counter. They're recorded consciously, criminally, having lied about my reaction when I did yell in the background. Never having had a conversation with me in the context where they prevented this, enforced it with roles then and now further with further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated Wethersfield police chief and judges involved with child sex offenders used to hide their lie progressions. Also with prosecutors, retired and standing judges and prosecutors and things like that involved with this. Long standing and more recent. This is lucky that we have state judicial branch offices, and the state prison offices, and the web slash and then web slash Stevens House Museum in Old Wesfield, and their roles with slavery, with Hartford, and with the Institute of Living still involved with this. No words. We can because these are people that were also had this involved as roles with trade center racketeering, with racketeering of a whole bunch of nations and uses of all the value treatments of and as the value of the VA of whatever sick people had in Texas and stuff like that involved with their roles with Hartford Hospital. 3 times they held me with allowing me a lawyer, and then when they did allow a lawyer, they had her involved with racketeering with them. Worse than delusions, rot, and criminally foreign influence nature of logic and of integrity. And this is her roles with them recorded with child sex offenders, further crimes with their family members of one of them on the sex offender registry. Also involved, especially if made up with that interstates New York here, with the retired and standing inspectors of fire departments. Their families also involved, a whole bunch of people involved, medical racketeering. Whatever is involved with the Rocky Hill location, shared policing also on and off the South Street Highway. All those businesses, shared policing of it and such. Tied to on and off Town Line Road, end of it. Whole bunch of time given through time. Criminally foreign influence. Uses of the Department of Transportation. State name stacking people acting, pretending it's legitimate, but using it for vertical and horizontal racketeering that they then exploited with connected crime acts tied to confessions about that before it ever happened. When I was in grammar school, with people involved with sequence racketeering, a whole bunch of people associated with a Casper. I don't know his sister's name. I never had a class with him. I never hung around with them. I don't know even know who they hung around with. I know in other words, the name. I would think of. I don't know the one of the people involved with like the shared policing intercities. Now there are identities that are all having spoke through others and had that involved with racketeering that is effectively having maintained criminally foreign influence roles with I don't know a pattern of confessions of people further involved with child offenders, all with woods behind what is like Two Ride Highway, behind Lowe's on the Burlington Turnpike, with those apartments and stuff back there. Whole bunch of people in a pattern through time made confessions tied to that. Also, as the people involved with the medical corruption with the child sex offenders and with the house on the corner of Church Street and Old Main Street and Main Street. Also involved with a whole bunch of people at CCSU with racketeering with houses on Church Street. That I only know who they sought me out for that was confessions, the only context I know that meant in demonstrations of it, roles with it. These are racketeering roles. There's a whole bunch of people associated with this Joe DeMauro and his brothers and cousins, and Mike Kerr, his brothers and his grandparents, mother involved with insurance investigators and stuff like that, fire investigators, involved racketeering with judges, retiring and standing, racketeering with WTNH, with families and with male and female with the FBI, criminal uses of that and of other people, their uses of the identity to the ground, like where people gather around in New Haven, those clubs, shared policing, shared racketeering roles with triages, with tied to the various natures of courts that have been using them to hide their roles with vertical and horizontal database racketeering, evidence racketeering in cases already. I'm not even a lawyer. So we need someone that forge names, switch names, so they don't have they're already stuck. Their roles with other methods and need. Of course, we have people with nuclear weapons. We have no, they're here. We have criminal foreign influence sciences. We have delusions, rot sciences. Big deal. They're using the industry of that is this is biological science. This is this is the markets. No, this is what we're trained in school to do. These are legitimate. We can afford you this market position. Great, but make sure that that's it. Liberate us first. Don't use that to pretend that fake positive liberated is not denying people free speech and mandated law. Is not denying people science and playing strict fact punk treatments. That's why we have to have punk fact treatments. That's why we have to have pseudo rational. That's why we have to have pseudo semantics. Discern distinctly from semantics. See then formal and all private and all that other juxtaposed liar roles, styles, fake sides of correlation nature. They have to take positions with the quality of fact treatment nature originally instilled, maintained effectively, offensive evidence reception, racketeering predators. Criminal uses of individuals and family members for racketeering method with this vertical and horizontal database crime, no one can counter. Effectively keeps a whole bunch of people in my area already involved. Racketeering Harvard Hospital that were retired in Stanton. I mean, people that weren't even in this area anymore. And that's recorded by them confessed. These are all people involved with wire racketeering, AT&T. So all with the same house slash S. They came in when I was in fourth grade. After already recorded, confessed, demonstrated racketeering with offensive evidence perception and reception racketeering associated with the congressional offices, uses of intercities police forms associated with the O'Brien family. Goddamn, since then, there are live progressions, every creepy Debbie Gold, those three times though. That was so methodical. And then the second time she approached me out of nowhere, yelling at me, right before it, there had been people from another class, same age, but you're in another part, so they're gonna come in. They know you're gonna be there because someone told them, and they make confessions. They repeat about how a Chet Gasper said called Debbie Gold the Jew bagel. So I don't even know if he went to my school, Chet Gasper, in grammar school. I never saw him on the campus there. And I had that name put in my head right before she did that. And she was yelling at me right when we were going to walk right after that to where are we going? Music class? I don't know. And then, so she comes up yelling at me. And I didn't know how to react. This is the second time she did that in life. I mean, on the years ago, like years before that, in another grade. And then I never saw her on off campus. Her father was the mayor. I don't know her brother either. Get legal, but the people involved with him also recorded, confessed, involved with their family with forensics clicks involved with racketeering, all nature of drug crimes with kids, uses of that for whatever she was doing there. Sequence shifting though, getting mad at me. I never had a conversation with her before that. You know, now out of nowhere. And then the second time though, they had put that in my mind. So my reaction, what are you gonna do? You don't understand why she's coming at you. Someone just put that Jew bagel, that phrase into your head that someone else called her that name. So she's attacking me in a hard way when we're walking there, verbally. I'm not gonna hit her or anything. I'm gonna put my hand on our girl. And I want to call her name, and that was like, so I said Jew bagel. They set that up because they pretend they use things. These are people involved with interreligious spots and even Jewish community center involved with racketeering, even with AT&T, with child sex offender roles. even with female judges on off the state judicial branch offices, a whole bunch of people with defiance of family, other houses, male and female police forms involved, people who came through programs like in the background with off the records, but recorded, demonstrated, confessed, racketeering involved, criminally foreign influence involved, like things like DACA, people on YouTube pretending to be me because they're stacking more and more family members and more natures of database tied clicks to more and more natures of crimes while they're preventing the counters to the trade center predicate acts. Criminal uses of Saudi Arabia and of their Saudi sources by our military involved racketeering with that. I have them willing to hand in whatever I want to write regarding this. I want to speak about it here because I want to know a name first. I want to talk about the name forging and switching. There are many natures of crimes. Many people involved on off Fox Connecticut News and with downtown Hartford with evidence racketeering against me, identity thefts tied to the courts involved with the child offenders further, as the ones involved further with elderly offenders, as the uses of my new and past neighbors for that roles with that per a Dillon family, foreign and domestic military, racketeering on off CCSU leading up to in the Trade Center attack context, also with tied to a reportedly proven sequence shift from inside the Ninth Circuit out of the papers. That proven led up to a 2006 case in Connecticut District Court. Former director of the FBI, his lawyer Robert Chevrolet, other federal criminals like Thaddeus Grabowski, and like a Johnny LeConte and some other guy that lived on a Dearborn Street, and his family associated with Eric Jensen, and a whole bunch of people with racketeering with a house that came into my foot when I was in fourth grade, involved with racketeering with this Debbie Gold, and whatever they did with the databases racketeering that the O'Brien family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they are involved with. Also on off CCSU and West Farmers Mall. Also with a whole bunch of people tied to around the Samuel Dix house. With sequence shifts also tied to confessions when I was in grammar school that made no sense. They make sense now. It's tied to with her father's those mayors are involved with Washington D.C. Justice Department jobs and things like that. Themes. Oh, this is the rope program. We're going to reform this kid. They're pretending things were recorded into databases through time, vertically and horizontally. Why, in conjunction with their sick punk methods, with the identity of correlation and the actual identity, nature of characters that unfold per their racketeering with the youngest kids, ages, campuses in sustained ways. Now, see, the Wethersfield police chief has the identity of the police chief recorded involved, uses of his daughter and other people's kids to hide his criminally foreign influence roles with evidence of racketeering, with a whole bunch of other police forms retired and standing with him, and with a whole bunch of other judges retired and standing individually, branches individually grouped together. Further, how prosecutors were our racketeering natures and roles and methods recorded that demonstrates actually what are evidence that shows really what made slavery, what motivated roles with such, what motivated and rolls and holds and keeps American history not left free speech offensively. And it's tied to this vertical database method that's leaving each age of fact, human nature forsaken the way it exploits it. Whole bunch of people on and off each age of fact, human nature connections with this interstates. All formal, maintained effectively, criminally foreign influence, originally and still. Natures of volume that are being exploited through what is using also the identity of the private campuses maintained in collusion with it. Even the homeschooling, like associating people with this Phil Cololo, whole bunch of people associated with this Dillon family, with the families in my area, the affected to racketeering with the kids that were my age in my area. In other words, in the background, I had never had conversation to attach me to fake locations, fake conversations. They went on to FBI jobs, like an Ian, recorded real or made up because they're making fake. They're making me talk with people you don't know who they are online. So I say, go down there. They're using the Facebook, in other words, to further racketeering lies against people. They're just stealing people's identities interbranch, faking things into databases again through time. In collusion with, they're also doing the same thing at the databases at the campuses. The courts are doing the same goddamn thing. Boxing. I'll tell each thing they fall. So all we have to do is admit this, because they have a whole bunch of people involved with Vietnam and with Asian countries with psychology. Don't bring them into the psychology. Everyone criminally foreign influence too. Get everyone out of this. That's up there with the what's keeping the counters to the nuclear weapons and collusion with them. Off identities that have the American public involved racketeering roles with. Comey and Mueller involved sequence shifts. You guys are all criminal and serious natures, recorded right through the Obama administration, hiding things from him while lying about me. WFSB, fix the fake news. Give me a name. Pick one name in sequence regarding your confessed and recorded racketeering roles with New Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of people. That's why I pick one name in sequence, because there are forging names and switching names, including a Christine Tardet and a Christine Bedard, and a whole bunch of men and women, foreign and domestic medical families involved with child sex offenders with her, with their other natures of racketeering with evidences, and leading up to and in the Trade Center attack. I mean, leading up to and in a 2006 district court case. There are confessed, demonstrated, and recorded racketeering roles with a whole bunch of people that sought me out for confessions, demonstrated, and recorded roles with the Obama Justice Department Justice Department criminally foreign influence from since before what kept the Trade Center attack. Each administration criminally foreign influenced, self-valuing it. Nations grouped, you can't defend it, valued. They have our identity of our founders stolen in our faces. It's pure grace. So all we need is I can't control the money, then we don't have free speech. Please, branches of government, just admit you guys know this wrong. Let me take the paint, see the painting, make something like that. Paint those forsaken places that you can't fathom anything else. So you say, okay, just let someone else deal with it. Some expert on logic. It's too late then. There is no expert on logic because they're all criminally foreign influence. You can't criminally legalize criminal and seditious nature. You can't value that and let understood logic's actual course, which is with sequence true, which the value of all the simultaneous and forever nature's value, past, coming, present. So if Santa Claus is read one way alone, and this is in regard to different ways. So we're going to learn about Romulus. You read this in the next quick video. I don't know how I'm going to get hurt by anybody because I'm blocked from Facebook. They're involved with Ractade's database. I get vertical and horizontal. It's worse than interstates already since before they were campuses.